If you've ever been hurt by a family member, then you're in this story. Especially if the family member who hurt you did it through an addiction. Addiction touches just about every family in some way. Sometimes it's not right in the center of the family. It might be an uncle or a cousin or a family friend. But it affects just about everybody in some way. And we have in this story today not just a better sense of who God is, we have some instructions on what to do when someone in our family is self-destructive and we're getting pulled down with them. This business of the son coming and asking for money that he really has no right to yet, and then taking off as soon as he gets it, that's a familiar story to families that have a struggle with addiction. That's a familiar story. Maybe it's an alcohol problem. Maybe it's drugs or gambling. Maybe it's something else. But this is familiar. How many times has someone in your family asked for money or asked for a favor and then taken off and burned through all of it? How many bridges have been burned in your life with those people? So, the Father teaches us what to do when something like that happens to us. And it's hard. But this is what we are to do when that happens to us. We are to do nothing. We are to allow them to go. We are not to yell at them. Father doesn't do that. He doesn't make threats. He doesn't say, mark my words, you walk out that door, that's the last time you'll see me. None of that. None of that. No guilting, no ultimatums. He lets him go. And that's what we're here to learn too. That we can't make anyone do anything. We can't force them to do what we want them to do. No one can do that to us. So what makes us think that we can get anyone else to do what we want them to do? I was talking to a mother in the parish recently whose adult son does not go to church, and it upsets her very much. And I said to her, have you expressed to him how much it upsets you? Maybe, thrown in a little guilt? And she said, oh, no, Father, I don't want him to come out of guilt. I don't want that to be the reason he comes. And to myself, I thought, come on. Guilt is one of the best weapons in the Catholic arsenal. Why wouldn't you want to use guilt? But upon thinking about it more, I think she's right. Guilt is not the reason. She might be able to manipulate him into going once or twice, but that's not the goal. She's got to let him do what he's going to do. That's the journey that he's on. So then the Father teaches us, after they go, what to do next. You stay where you are. You don't go after them. You let them go, and you wait at home. There is no Hollywood scene in this story where the father somehow gets the address of where the son is and he goes there and he gives him money and he says, I've always believed in you. There's none of that. No. You know what? You've got to learn your way. I let you go. I bless you. I send you off. But I'm staying here on the farm. There's work to do. There's a farm to tend. I wish you weren't going. But if you need to go, you go, and I'll stay here. It's interesting that this lesson reminds us something that we hear talked about, but sometimes it's hard to know how to put it into practice. This is a story about tough love. That's what we're supposed to do with our addicted relatives. We're supposed to say, no more money. You've got what you came for. Now go. I'm always here for you, but I'm not chasing you. That's an important lesson for us to take from this. But there's a secondary lesson too. We show tough love while the person is self-destructing. But when they come to their senses, we show mercy. When they come to their senses. That's the great line in the gospel. The son came to his senses one day and said, oh my gosh, look at what I've done. And he goes back to say, look at what I've done. His father couldn't have spared him that moment. His father couldn't intervene so that the son didn't come to his senses. He needed to come to his senses on his own. Many people in addiction will talk about this thing called rock bottom. And a lot of people who want to rescue their family members, they don't want to let their loved one hit rock bottom. But people who've hit it say, sometimes that's the only time you have a chance to meet God. God is the rock at the bottom. So we can't spare people from that. They've got to have their journey. But when they come to their senses, we've got to make sure that there's a bridge for them to come home on. There was a woman who worked as a social worker in my old hometown, and she worked especially with troubled youth. And you can imagine some of the stories that she had over the years. There was one young man who was particularly difficult. She'd worked with him again and again, and he kept messing up. He was so sincere and so lovable when he was there, but then he would leave and be gone for a long time. And this was like the 15th time that he had left and then come back again. And after she worked with him, he left the office, and her coworker said to her, "Haven't you learned yet? Hasn't he burned all of his bridges with you?" And she said, "My bridge isn't flammable. My bridge isn't flammable." She doesn't chase after him, but when he's ready to come back, there's a bridge for him to come on. It seems to me that that is one of the images that can help us with this. We need to have a drawbridge that is not flammable. It's a drawbridge so that we can lift it up when we need to protect ourselves. We can make sure that it's lifted up when we're tempted to run over it and rescue the person or enable them. We have to have a drawbridge, but it's got to be inflammable. We can't have a bridge that we burn to a loved one. That can't happen. We can draw it up, but we never burn it. And this is how God is. This is how God is. God never wants us to grovel. God just wants us to come to our senses. The goal is to come to our senses. And when we do, we might say something like, "Father, I know you made me in your image, but I think I've ruined it. I think I've completely squandered the image that you imprinted in me. I don't even think I deserve to be called your child anymore." When we come to our senses, God does not want us to say any more. God will interrupt us in the middle of that speech. "Stop, quick, bring the robe, bring the slippers, bring the ring, kill the fatted calf. It is time for the party." God does not want us to grovel. God just wants us to come to our senses. So we hear in this story something important for us to know. God is not in the point-keeping business, and never was. God is not up in heaven keeping points over how many honors and how many demerits we have. That's not what God does. God is in the reconciliation business. So the question for us today is, where are you in this story right now? You're in it somewhere. Where are you? Are you the son who is in the middle of some destructive behavior? I mean, if you're honest with yourself, you might be able to name that. Is that you? Are you in the middle of a spiral that you need to address, you need to look at? Maybe. Are you the older son who has someone in your family who is destructing and is taking all of you down with that person? And so you're full of resentment. You're a point keeper. Maybe you're the point keeper who says, "I can't believe this," and you don't want anyone else to reach out to that person. Do you know a father like the father in this story? Is there someone in your life who is like this? Who has a drawbridge so that they don't enable, they don't rescue, they don't try to live other people's lives for them, but that they will never burn? That there's always a way home? That's what we're called to be. In the second reading, we hear Paul say that our job is to become the reconciliation of God. Not just to show it, to become it, to be the symbol of it, to be the ambassador of it. So as we go forth from here, all of us need to work on maintaining our bridge. Let it be a drawbridge that can stop us from making a bad choice, but one that is not flammable.